Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the basketball segment on the Pump Take Sports podcast. I'm here today with Marco, and I'm sure as many of you basketball fans know, I think at the moment we're recording this, it's the last day of the NCAA March Madness Tournament for this year. In about 2.5 hours from the time that we're recording this, Gonzaga is going to play Baylor for the national championship, so that's very exciting. And just on the topic of March Madness, I'm sure if you've been following the tournament, you've seen that there's a few prospects that have really stood out this year. So that's what today's episode is going to be about. Me and Marco are going to kind of just go over a couple guys that we've noticed in this tournament that we think have really sort of increased or maintained their draft stock or have just generally looked impressive. So Marco, just to start off, is there any guy that you wanted to talk about first?
Yeah, man, I'll start it off. Definitely been some exciting games recently, but the guy who I'm going to talk about shouldn't be a surprise. It's Cade Cunningham. So I think Cade Cunningham is maybe we'll get into this a little bit later, but right now he's pretty much solidified himself as the number one overall pick. And I think that most teams are kind of, looking at him and what he possesses as kind of, I'll get into what he brings to the table more, but it seems to me right now that he is the number one overall pick. And I'll just go through a little bit of my analysis on him. So he's 6'8", 220 pounds with a 7-foot plus wingspan. And it seems like the man was crafted in a lab. And I know that, that's something that we say often about, maybe not super often, but it happens. Like we see guys like Tatum or whoever, Butler or whatever, LeBron. It's like, yeah, they're crafting the lab for basketball. And Cade Cunningham fits that archetype perfectly. The thing that I think that prospects really like about Cade is that he will be able to make an impact day one. If you watch him play, he makes the game look so slow, and he plays at his own pace already, which is something that a lot of players in the transition from college and NBA, they have like difficulty because like college is so fast paced with lots of kind of mistakes and, it's very different schematically as well. But Cade Cunningham, he slows down the game and he plays already like an NBA player who's been in the league for 10 years. And I think that's what a lot of prospects are really looking at him and the reason that he's touted as as a great prospect. But yeah, I'll just break down some of the things that I like about him. So he plays point guard and he's 6'8". And in today's modern NBA, that's exactly what teams are looking for. They're looking for a guy like LeBron, like Luka Doncic, like someone who's able to run point and make amazing passes, but also has the athleticism and scoring vernacular to be able to attract attention and then be able to kick out that ball. So yeah, like he's been shooting 44% from three right now. And that was one of the things that prospects were kind of worried about initially, is that he wouldn't be that great of a shooter, but he's really stepped it up this year. He's an amazing one-on-one player as well, which just enables him further to be such a great playmaker. Defenses can't sleep on him, so often he's getting the double and he's able to kick it out to open players. And a comparison that I kind of see from his passing ability is a LaMelo or even a LeBron. Or Magic, even like these high level passers, they are able to just, whip with one hand or throw it behind their back or whatever. They don't have to be like the traditional, like the NBA is changing so much, right? Like the traditional 6'3" point guard that, dribbles it up, picks it up, does that chest pass. That's long gone, right? Mm-hmm. And Cade Cunningham fits that mold of being able to make those passes on the fly, those crazy, one-hand swing passes across the vertically or horizontally across the court, like LaMelo, like LeBron, like whoever. And that's something that he possesses that teams are really looking for in a player.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, Cunningham, it's like there's not even much that you need to say about him. Like he's been like for a very long time, he's been like we're going to get into this later, but he's been what has been perceived as the very clear number one overall pick. The only thing that I wanted to say is that Cunningham doesn't play point guard. I think he actually plays forward. for
Okay.
for Oklahoma State, but still, like, it doesn't matter. He's still just like he just has all the attributes to just build a franchise in the NBA around.
Yeah,
He's big, strong, physical. He's able to score at just all levels, which is big. Like, there's not like one area of the court where he like struggles to create his own offense from. Which he's like, he can play in the post. He can shoot out. He can go outside and shoot threes. He has a good mid-range game. Good distributor. He's just an all-around great player.
Solid player.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess what I meant to say with the point guard thing is he looks like the NBA is looking for positionless players, right? Mm-hmm. And he can run point. He can also play small forward, and he can also play shooting guard. He's just a plug and play player wherever you want him. And he's just so perfectly fit for the modern NBA. And yeah, as you said, that's why kind of teams are looking to pick him at number one. And as you said, with the around basket or in the mid range, like, I feel the NBA comparison to his games from in those like specific spots, or like Tatum or even DeRozan, like, his footwork is incredible. His fadeaways and just his ability to make tough shots look effortless, which is something that guys like Tatum and DeRozan do in the mid range.
Mm-hmm. In terms of like Cunningham's just like he's the big obvious prospect from the tournament, right? Yeah. But in terms of a guy that really impressed me when I watched him in the past couple weeks was Max Abmas from Oral Roberts. This guy, I don't believe he's even declared for the draft yet. But he is eligible. So this is a guy to really look out for if and when he declares, possibly later into the
sleeper.
Yeah, like past the point of the tournament, he might declare. He might go back for another year. I don't know. But this guy led all Division I players in points per game with almost 25 points per game. This was above Luka Garza, who's a very like highly touted scoring prospect this year as well. He's able to hit 3-pointers. He's hit at least multiple 3-pointers in his last 21 games, including a performance where he had 4 in 13 games. And in Oral Roberts' 2 wins in March Madness, he looked just very, very impressive. He scored 29 and 26 against Ohio State and Florida to pull off 2 very big upsets in the tournament for a team that was originally a 15th seed. And in those games, he was a very efficient 7 from 17 from 3 which is very remarkable considering how far out he actually shoots the ball from. Abmas was also able to really just dictate and kind of like control the pace of the game. He gets to the rim really well and gets space. He kicks out very well. He has great court vision and shot making ability. And he's one guy that just for being from such a small school, he just really impressed me in terms of his like sort of natural scoring ability. Like when I was watching Oral Roberts and I didn't know anything about him going in. And as soon as I was watching this guy with the ball in his hands, I was like, holy shit. Like,
it's kind of like a John Morant thing, like a small school kind of underdog that you want to root for.
Yeah. Not as highly touted as John Morant.
Yeah, of course.
Because John Morant was like the projected to go like in the top like 5 of the draft. But still, like, for being like from such a small school, like it's very easy for guys like that to sort of slide under the radar. And I think it was like, one, it was impressive that they were able to beat 2 like teams that were seeded in the top 10 respectively in their conference in Ohio State and Florida, but also that Abmas was able to like kind of take over those games and really just like push his team to a win. And I think it bodes well for his NBA projections that he's able to play like this at the college level.
Yeah, for sure, man. Sounds like a great prospect. I should definitely look into him more.
Oh, yeah. And just one last thing on Oral Roberts. I don't want to touch too much on this guy because he's not actually draft eligible this year. He's draft eligible next year. But another guy on Oral Roberts that really impressed me was Kevin Obanor. He's one of their forwards. And in each of the team's 3 games, I believe he led the team in scoring. This season, like just during regular season play outside of March Madness, he was an 18 and 10 kind of player. And I think that like he seemed like he just has a very like natural sort of touch for scoring just inside. He has a nice post game. He's able to shoot the 3. So that's a guy that like a year down the road, look for him in next year's tournament to be a real sort of impact guy for Oral Roberts.
For sure, man. It's just crazy the talent that's coming out nowadays. And I was also thinking about this today. It's kind of weird. Like right now, me and you are both 22. And it's interesting to think like we're at the age now where these guys that are coming into the NBA are like 3 years younger than us.
Yeah.
Two
like
or 3
19,
years younger than us.
19.
Yeah, man. It's messed up. I don't know where that went. Where the time went. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's messed up. But I'm happy for him, of course. I'm just here, just sipping on some wine, recording a podcast, and looking up stuff about these guys and watching games and living vicariously through others. You know how it is. So looks like I'm doing in the top prospect kind of guys here. But I'm gonna talk about Evan Mobley. So what I like about him is he has the upside and ceiling of being the next kind of true unicorn, I guess you could say, in the NBA. He's 7 foot tall, 7'5" wingspan, and he, as I said, he has an amazing ceiling. He's pretty agile for his size. He's tall and has some crazy length, although he does definitely move like a big. Like a lot of comparison, the comparison that he gets a lot is Anthony Davis, which, to be fair, I don't think is really fair. Like Anthony Davis is a unicorn. Like he is one of a kind. Rarely do you see guys the size of Anthony Davis with the defending ability that Anthony Davis has that is able to play face up. Like Anthony Davis separates himself from other centers in the fact that he can dribble the ball, take players, like cross players up and make plays that, kind of like Durant. Like he shouldn't be able to do the things that he does with his size. So I don't think it's really fair to make that comparison, but I do understand. And I think the reason that comparison gets brought up a lot is because of Mobley's defending. I'll just touch on his defending a little bit. Right now, he's averaging 3 blocks a game, which is pretty fucking insane. He has crazy length, and he's very versatile because of his comfortability with strong and weak side defending, as well as using both of his hands. You see him reaching out, making left-handed blocks as well as right-handed blocks, which definitely helps him not drawing as many fouls as the average defender. And then on offense, he's a decent spot-up shooter. He's shooting around 30% from 3, so obviously that can be worked on, but he's still comfortable taking it, which I think is the more important thing. But where he excels on offense is his post-up game and facing up to a defender, kind of like a Kevin Garnett, Chris Bosh kind of guy. And even more recently, like Embiid. He's also an amazing rebounder and will score a lot of points because of this. He excels picking up rebounds on the offensive rebounds and just finishing right away because of his size and his length. And he'll also be a great pick and roll player in the future. I think sometimes right now he can be a little passive and he doesn't get his body really into those players. And I think that's something that some college players definitely have trouble with, is just kind of the physicality and the willingness to make contact in general. So you see that with him on the offensive side as well, is when he's driving to the net, he often shies away from contact, or when he's on defense, he often shies away from contact. But I think that's something that a lot of prospects struggle with. Like I know that was a big thing about LaMelo, is he would always be just shooting floaters and didn't really look like he wanted to take contact. But in the NBA now, you can clearly see that he does. But yeah, I think he just has that raw talent and, kind of freakish nature that can make him really excel in the NBA. And I think he has a really high ceiling, and I understand why he's respected to go to the side of the draft.
I think that you have to consider with guys like Mobley as well. Like you were mentioning the fact that he kind of tends to avoid contact. I think that's mostly probably an age thing. Like we have to remember these guys are 19.
Sure.
These guys are 19. Evan Mobley's 19 years old, and as a 7-footer right now, I believe he only weighs 210 pounds. So
yeah.
So that's just sort of a natural progression of just an athlete who's still not even in their 20s yet. He's going to grow into that frame. And the thing that impresses me most with Mobley that I've seen just so far in the past couple weeks is that he projects a little bit differently than those kind of like classic like big men that we've seen kind of go high up, like the DeAndre Aytons, for example.
Yeah.
In that he projects as more of just where the NBA is going in general with how big men are valued. He has that kind of skill set. He has sort of like a Bam Adebayo type of skill set in a much bigger body. Like he has incredible basketball IQ. He can shoot like as you mentioned, like he's not like an extremely highly efficient guy at this point in his career from behind the arc, but the important thing is that he's comfortable taking those shots.
Exactly.
In college, right?
And he has a smooth shooting form as well.
Yeah. I don't know, like, what do you know what his free throw percentage is? I don't have that.
No,
directly.
I didn't look up that stat, but I'm sure it's decent. Like he's definitely not a bad shooter. And as you were saying, I know what you're getting at is free throw percentage transfers, like the stat transfers better to NBA 3-pointers just because of his form. That's essentially kind of what it is, form and shooting mechanics. But he has great form and great shooting mechanics. Yeah, and as you were saying, and his IQ and passing ability is definitely something that is one of his strongest skills. And the Bam Adebayo comparison is great.
And we're really seeing that now in terms of like how like highly drafted big men have worked out in the past couple of years, that if you're going to pick a big man this high and get the value for the pick that you're taking them at, you need them to be a potential ball handler and a shot creator. And that's what Evan Mobley gives you versus other big men, which was what makes him really exciting.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that guys like, man, there's some high draft picks that really haven't worked out the way that teams have wanted to, such as Marvin Bagley. I know he's been like very injured.
Yeah, but DeAndre Ayton as well. Like he's okay.
Exactly.
He's a fine player.
Okafor, dude.
Okafor, I think
back in the day,
Alex Len was like a fifth overall pick or something.
Pirtle was our first round pick. I think when we had pick number 10.
Yeah, Pirtle was 11th.
11th. Yeah, I mean he's still a serviceable player in the NBA, but
he was a lottery pick. He was a lottery pick.
He was a lottery pick, and it goes to show that like with this, as you were saying, with those centers, you need them to be able to add something different or just be absolutely insane at being like your traditional center, kind of like Embiid. It's kind of one or the other. Or like Gobert, just like an insane defender and amazing in the pick and roll. Or you need them to be extremely versatile and not even like your traditional center, like a man, as you were saying.
Yeah, like unless they're like Joel Embiid kind of body type, you need them to just have the skills to run your offense through, or else you're probably just better off just taking a guard that can give you that skill set, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you look at the best centers in the NBA today, you have Jokic, in my opinion, is probably the best center, and he's one of the best passers in the league, period. Like he's up there with point guards, right? And that's what we're talking about, positionless basketball. And you have guys like AD, who's an amazing defender, but also kind of looks like Kevin Durant. Like he can just face up and score and ISO on players. And I think that, and then you have guys like Bam and Sabonis and whoever that are like these true multi-level talents and I guess multi-threat talents. And I think that's what Mobley can definitely bring to a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man.
So
let's hear it.
This is the entire reason that I kind of like wanted to make this video. And that was to talk about Jalen Suggs. This guy is one of my favorite, and just especially after watching, like you watched that UCLA game. I think everybody saw the UCLA game. It was, first of all, I just want to say that was an incredibly entertaining game to watch. Like that kind of stuff is just like why you want to watch sports. Just like it had like underdog stories, like overtime. It had the stars taking over.
Heartbreak, all the stuff you want.
But Jalen Suggs impressed me so much in that game. He had such an impressive performance in the Final Four. He put up 16, 5, and 6 with 2 steals and that clutch block at the end. But Suggs' impact on this game,
that block was nasty, bro.
It was nasty. It was insane.
Nasty.
But I don't think that Suggs' impact on this game was necessarily reflected in that stat line, even though like obviously it's an okay stat line. The biggest thing that Suggs showed for me in that game, and was the reason that I wanted to talk about him, and I think that this is the biggest thing that a player can show NBA scouts during this tournament, and that is that he can show up and be a game-changing player when it matters. Now, I'm not gonna go on air here and just try to like plant a flag and drop like a take that I think Suggs will go first overall. I still think that whatever team is sitting there is just going that they, at the end of the day, Cunningham has been so highly touted for so long that I think they will take them, and that's fair. Cunningham's a great player. That being said, I wanted to say that I think that this race for the first overall pick is a lot closer than most people are willing to admit. In a very similar way to like that you mentioned Cunningham earlier, Suggs has all the tools that make up a modern NBA star. He's an incredible transition threat. He throws great outlet passes to teams after rebounds or blocks, like we saw with that block and that nice little full court transition bounce pass down the stretch in the UCLA game. But he also just shows incredible speed and finishing ability when he has the ball by himself in the open floor. He's a quality shooter. He shoots 35% from deep on 79 attempts this season. And he's a great pick and roll ball handler as well. On top of that, he's also a smart defender, and he's a 6'5" point guard. He can make easy transitions with his speed and his length. And it sounds like I'm just naming off all of these skills that make him like a great player, but that's because I am. It probably sounds familiar because these are all the strengths.
Like I said with Cade.
it's all the strengths that we've been hearing about Cade Cunningham for so long that makes him such a highly touted prospect. And I just want to say, like, I don't actually know how much stock is put into like these March Madness runs because, again, like obviously, like I'm sitting up here on a YouTube podcast. I'm not an NBA scout, and I don't think that Cunningham's draft stock will fall because of Oklahoma State's early exit from the tournament. However, I believe that this tournament does influence draft stock, and I think that a player who can like Suggs has with Gonzaga, show the ability to perform and be a game changer in one and done big stage situations, NBA scouts undoubtedly take notice of that. So again, I'm not going to sit here and plant the flag and say that I believe with like 100% confidence that Suggs should be the first overall pick. I don't even know if I do think that. I think that Cunningham at the end of the day probably will go first overall, but I believe whatever team is sitting there at number one overall, whoever wins the lottery, this is not by any means an instant decision like it's been played out to be a lot. And I think that it's really impressive that Suggs has sort of been able to close that gap in some people's minds.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like that, I think what you were speaking to at the beginning about Suggs is that like X factor, that factor that it's like, you know, ice in your veins or whatever you want to call it. Obviously, we're just talking about those clutch teams.
It's a thing that you just see. Almost.
Yeah, exactly. Like he looks like Dame sometimes, man.
Exactly. Like that block and then the pass and transition, that so much reminded me of something Dame would do. Like, yeah, it's just like, it's something that it doesn't show up in the stat sheet or a scouting report, but it's when you watch a guy and you can just say, this guy has what you want. This guy has the energy as well. If you're building a team, you're down the stretch and Jalen Suggs has the ball at half court for you, he's going to take a shot and try to win you that game.
And he thinks it's going in too. And I think that's what's important. Like when he runs up to he steps on the table and he's like, you know, fired up with all I think it was just funny that, you know, it's all the cardboard cutouts in the stands. Like I felt bad. Like imagine how that would have been. Yelling at the printouts. Like all the cardboards are just sitting there like
with a foam finger on.
Yeah. He's like, that was so dope though. But yeah, I agree with you. I think at the end of the day, Cade will probably be the first pick just because of like his consistency. And obviously March Madness does play into the draft stock, but it's almost like one thing that I was going to bring up with Cade is it's like that kind of Luka situation where it's like, he's just been the best player for a while. Right. So it's like, it's just kind of a clear choice. So it's like, you don't want to overthink it too much. However, I do understand what you're saying because Suggs is really making a push, and I don't think it is as clear of a choice anymore.
Like Cunningham undoubtedly has the attributes to just maintain that spot. But what I will plant a flag on is sitting here April 5th at 7:30 p.m. Gonzaga plays Baylor in 2 hours from now. I think this video probably won't get put up tonight. It'll probably get put up tomorrow. But if tomorrow comes and Jalen Suggs takes over this game tonight and wins a national championship for Gonzaga, you're gonna be hearing a lot of questions about who's the first overall pick. Because Suggs has that factor of what it is, and I think that when you see that factor in a player, it's pretty hard to sit there and deny it.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. There are certain players just around in all sports, right, that have that factor that you just kind of can't like put your finger on exactly what it is, but it's something that separates them from other people. And I think that's why it's like there's such a polarizing athlete. Kind of guys like John Morant or like Westbrook or like whoever. They have that like that X factor.
They have that chip on their shoulder. They just have that extra just edge to them that just like and
it like makes them so likable too.
That's just a complete intangible as well. But when I've watched Jalen Suggs in this tournament, you can see it. You can see that like the energy that he just brings to that team. Like I don't know, like if you saw the locker room video of Gonzaga after he hit that shot.
Oh, they're so happy for him.
Those guys rally around him. And he's
the leader.
He brings just this kind of just solid just leadership. And for a kid who's 19 years old, that is just extremely impressive to me.
It is, man. It's still crazy to me that he's 19 and like these guys are 19. But it just speaks to how like talented players are becoming and just how talented, just sports in general have become. And there's just so much to look forward to with the draft class, with guys like the players that we've talked about and so many more that, we wish we had time and more, I'm working, you're a student. We wish we had time to just kind of research these guys and know everything there is to know and have time to make as many videos as we could. But it's a stacked class and I'm just excited, and it's been a great tournament, and I'm excited to watch the game tonight.
I'm very excited. That's you couldn't have like I loved UCLA's story, and like to be honest, I was rooting for them against Gonzaga just because it's like
underdogs.
Yeah, they're the underdog, and it's like when the 11th seed is like pushing the like undefeated on the season 1 seed to a game in overtime. It's hard. It's really hard to just not
root.
But that being said, I'm all Gonzaga tonight. After that Jalen Suggs performance, I am just like, I'm sold, and I don't think that there's any reason that he can't go number 1 overall in the draft. If whatever team's sitting there, probably like the Timberwolves or something again.
The Timberwolves,
is sitting at the number 1 overall, and they take Jalen Suggs. I'm not going to think it's a bad pick because this.
No. And total side note, how disgusting and young that Minnesota lineup is with Kat, D'Angelo, Anthony Edwards, and either Cade or Suggs or whoever they take. I think they should take one of those 2 players, but either of those players, like that's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, it'll just to wrap it up. It'll be interesting to just see how the lottery falls in the NBA.
Yeah, it definitely will be.
And with that being said, I think we're gonna wrap our video up here. So
yes, sir.
Those were our standout prospects from the tournament this year. Kind of just the top 3 guys, and then Abmas as well. Just really impressed me. But thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments if you've enjoyed the March Madness tournament this year, and tune into the game tonight. See you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.
See you later.